Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another Premier Draft of Guilds of Ravnica. Without further ado, let's get into the Pack 1 Pick 1 here, and we've got a very fun rare. We have Niv-Mizzet Perrin, which is by far the most restrictive card in this pack, maybe even the most restrictive card in the whole set. Triple blue, triple red, you need to be Izzet, and only Izzet, no splashing allowed when you're trying to hit that many blue and red sources, but this spell is really nice. 5/5 flyer that can't be countered, and every time you draw a card, you deal 1 damage to any target, and when anyone casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw another card. So even if they immediately kill Niv-Mizzet, you draw a card and shoot something for 1 in response, and if they don't immediately kill Niv-Mizzet, it's going to completely take over the game, put it way in your favor. So this is a huge reason to try to be Izzet, and I'm going to be doing my best to head into that color pair. Pick 2, we now have a Watcher in the Mist, one of the best blue commons, just a really nice flyer with a good enter the battlefield effect to set up your draws, so I'll take that, sticking with our Niv-Mizzet here. Both of these uncommons are incredible as well. The True Fire Captain, really good mentor card for the Boros decks to buff your smaller creatures up, plus whenever your opponent does trade into it, they take a bunch of extra damage. This card is brutal. It's also super restrictive and not going into a deck with Niv-Mizzet. And then Thought Erasure is a really nice card as well. Rip your opponent's best card from their hand and Surveil to set up your draws still, but Watcher in the Mist is by far the best follow-up to Niv-Mizzet, so we're going to stick to that. Pick 3, there's another Watcher in the Mist. Very happy to take that. Goblin Electromancer is fine, but I think Watcher in the Mist is a bit better. I would take like a solid removal spell here out of Izzet over the Watcher, but there isn't one. There's no like Lava Coil or Direct Current or anything, so we'll just take the Watcher. Alright, Disdainful Stroke's really nice. Devious Cover-Up is okay for trying to do the mill your opponent out. Really gross, really controlling deck. I think Disdainful Stroke for the efficiency is better in a vacuum though, so I'm going to go for the Disdainful Stroke first here. There's a Beacon Bolt, pick 5. You love to see that. We already want to play tons of instants and sorceries and Izzet in general, but especially with Niv-Mizzet in the deck. So this is 2 removal spells off of 1 card. You get to recast it from your graveyard with Jumpstart by discarding another card, so that you're dealing with your opponent's 2 best creatures with your Beacon Bolt. We're super happy to see that. Pick 6 has pretty much nothing. Izzet is not the kind of archetype that's particularly into little aggressive creatures, and that's basically all we see in this pack. We can take an Ornery Goblin here. I think that's the best of these defensively because it holds off like 2/1s with First Strike forever, or 3/1s or stuff like that, because it just shoots them for 1 if they ever get into combat with an Ornery Goblin. Izzet Guildgate actually does seem like a really high pickup for a deck with a triple blue, triple red card, so I'm going to take the Izzet Guildgate over Devious Cover-Up here, because we really need to have our mana in order. I do like Devious Cover-Up, but we only need 2 copies, and in most of the draft pods I've seen on this flashback trip, it has gone pretty late, so I think we'll be able to find 2 copies later if we really want to do the Devious Cover-Up thing. But I think we need to take every opportunity we have to take an Izzet Guildgate if there isn't just an incredible card for the deck in the same pack. Well, we're just going to have a whole team of Ornery Goblins to try to stop early damage, I guess. Well, we might be getting a little aggressive. Well, we might be getting a little aggressive here, because I'm not the biggest fan of Sonic Assault. It's solid for, like, really aggressive Izzet decks, but if I'm going to go really aggressive anyway, I already have 3 2-mana 2/1s, and the Bodyguard can attack it alongside them pretty well. I guess the problem is you need a really high creature count for the Wojak Bodyguard, and we're trying to have a really high instant sorcery count. So this has been a little bit of an awkward draft, because we've seen a bunch of, like, solid blue and red creatures, but not solid blue and red instant sorceries. You might have to play the weird, aggressive version of Izzet, which I don't think is the best spot for Niv-Mizzet. But it's a perfectly viable deck. Alright. Pack 2, pick 1. There's Lava Coil for really efficient removal. Hellkite Whelp is okay. Piston Fixed Cyclops is okay for the aggro as it builds, but Lava Coil for sure. Just really efficient removal that also exiles, which is huge. Crater Maker is nice as well. It's a creature to play on curve that doubles as a removal spell for smaller stuff. Yeah, we're really creature heavy right now. It's not exactly where I wanted to be, but it is where we're at. Well, if we are going to be the really creature heavy version, Sonic Assault can get a lot of damage in on the aggressive. There's the Direct Current. This card is pretty good in the right matchup. You can kill 2 separate 2 toughness or less cards off of this one spell, which is pretty nice. Again, just because of that jumpstart ability. Ditching another land later, clear out another card. Ooh, let's go. Crackling Drake. We already have a much more restrictive mana cost than this, so we're incredibly okay with double blue, double red. And this is a great finisher. Power and toughness equal to the number of, or sorry, just power equal to the number of instants and sorceries in exile and in your graveyard. So it counts all the instant sorceries in grave, and it even counts your jump started cards if you have cast them and exiled them at that point. This even draws you a card the second it hits the board, so it immediately replaces itself at worst. Really like the Crackling Drake. Here's another Is It Guildgate. Again, we gotta take this real highly, so I'm taking it over Sonic Assault. Here's another Is It Guildgate, this time taking over just a Whisper Agent as probably the best card. Sure Strike is second best there. We Dragonauts is fine for aggro, is it? But Devious Cover-Up is the very nice control and counterspell. I would prefer that. There's Piston Fist Cyclops for aggro, is it? What do we search for with Invent? An instant and sorcery, put them into hand. I guess that's a really good late game value play. Invert does literally nothing though, so this is like a 6 mana spell. That's real expensive. I'm just going to take the Piston Fist. Nothing much here. Let's throw a Gravitic Punch into the side. Fire Urchin, I guess. Not going to play a Locket. Probably not going to play a Maximize Velocity. I guess we have 2 we could. Definitely not going to play Maniacal Rage. Luckily, we're almost at a full deck right now. We do have 3 Is It Guildgates. This is only 20 non-land cards, but we are really, really close, and we've got a whole pack to make this deck better. So it looks like a sweet spot to be. And there's Hypothesizzle, an excellent spell. Very flexible one. 5 mana instant, you draw 2 cards. You can discard one of them to deal 4 to a creature, or you can just keep them. But usually you're going to do this as draw 2, discard your worst non-land card to turn it into 4 damage to a creature. Turn your worst non-land card into a removal spell. And it plays really well with the jumpstart mechanic, where you can discard something that you can recast from grave anyway. So another Direct Current seems really nice here, but the Muse Drake's also pretty good. I'm going to go for the Direct Current. Now we get another Beacon Bolt. Let's go. Another Direct Current? We could also take another Disdainful Stroke at this point. We have 2 Direct Currents, 2 Beacon Bolts, and a Lava Coil, and a Hypothesizzle? Actually, another Disdainful Stroke seems reasonable over the 3rd Direct Current here. They're all really nice, though. I'm going to go for the Disdainful Stroke on this one. Now we have Radical Idea, which is great in this kind of archetype. Disdainful Stroke's also good, but we've got the Double Stroke already. I think I'd rather have my first Radical Idea than my 3rd Disdainful Stroke. Okay. This looks like nothing. Dazzling Lights or Fresh-Faced Recruit. Intervention's really good, but again, we're not doing any splashing with really restrictive mana costs like we have. Let's take Dazzling Lights, I guess, and probably not play it. Muse Drake I will play. 4 mana 1/3 flyer immediately replaces itself by drawing a card when it hits the board. I think we get to cut a bunch of creatures now. We get to cut the little buff spells of the Maximize Velocities, Combat Trick of the Sure Strike. This is still 24 non-lands. Boom! Pick 8 Hypothesizzle. Oh yeah, Is It Control is all coming together. This is, let's see, 28 cards, so 25 non-lands, so we can still cut like 2 more non-lands, so the bodyguard and 1 goblin. Boom, this is 23 non-lands, 17 lands here. We get another Muse Drake. Let's go. So that I can cut a Piston Fist Cyclops, or a Fire Urchin, or an Ornery Goblin. Just cut some filler creatures here. Another Muse Drake. Alright, team. We got this. Let's get rid of the Fire Urchin. And 1 Ornery Goblin for the Piston Fist Cyclops. Get rid of an Ornery Goblin on that one. I think this is the deck. We've kind of fully built it here. We did only get 1 Devious cover-up, so we can't like loop them together to try to win, but it's probably fine. We've got a Crackling Drake and a Niv Mizzet for big win conditions, and 3 counterspells to try to protect them. And we're not like surveilling in this deck, so we're not particularly likely to mill out. Yeah, no, this looks sweet. This looks excellent. Yeah, we'll just take our super sweet Izzet deck and call it a deck here. Alright, here's a look at our completed deck list for today. We're on some Izzet nonsense. We're a pretty controlling Izzet build. We've got the best win condition in the Izzet color pair, Niv Mizzet Perrin. It's uncounterable. Anytime anybody casts an instant or sorcery, we draw a card. And anytime we draw a card, we deal 1 to any target. So, huge, excellent finisher. But we also have the best uncommon finisher for this archetype. The Crackling Drake having power equal to the number of instants and sorceries in our grave and in exile. So if we have some exile jumpstart spells, which we will, then those are adding to the Crackling Drake's power as well. So some huge finishers as well as just solid common finishers like a couple Watcher in the Mist. So really solid stuff for ending the game. And until then, we're just trying to control our opponent out of the game, blowing up all their cheap creatures with a couple Direct Currents that we can recast, some Beacon Bolts we can recast, a Lava Coil, some Hypothesizals for their bigger creatures later, and then for their big endgame spells, we have a few counter spells like Devious Cover-Up and a couple Disdainful Strokes. So all the kind of tools you need to be a really solid controlling deck with multiple ways to end the game at the top of the curve. Looks like it's going to be a really sweet, really fun one, and really show off what Izzet can do as an archetype in the format. So we'll see how it all plays out for us as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the draw, starting off game 1. Hand looks pretty solid, definite keep. Thoughtbound Phantasm. Oh no, that is the best turn 1 play for a Dimir deck, because they can surveil off of almost any spell they cast, such as a Dimir Mythic. Oh my god. Well, we might be starting things off 0-1 at this point, but what can you do? We're playing against an insane deck already. Yep. Phantasm into Lazov into Informant. This thing's going to be attacking us as a 5/5 next turn, pretty much guaranteed. Just one of the format's S-tier archetypes with an S-tier curve out. And I can't even kill anything with my 2 damage from Direct Current. We have to just pass and try to get Hypothesizal to kill this Thoughtbound Phantasm before they surveil again. Maybe we can do so? Okay. Maybe. They've got 2 mana, so if they have their own Disdainful Stroke, we lose. Is there any alternative here? Can Direct Current plus Beacon Bolt, that's only 3 damage. I could Direct Current the House Guild Mage and let the Phantasm stay. Because if they had a way to immediately surveil, I think they would have done it. The problem with letting it stay is then if they surveil next turn, it's out of reach of the Hypothesizal, which is really bad. I kind of want to play around a Disdainful Stroke here, though, but that might be really, really wrong. If I Direct Current this Guild Mage, I'm also holding up my own Disdainful Stroke. Wait. If I direct current this guild mage, they can just make Lazav a copy of it during their end step and then surveil off of Lazav's ability next turn. So I actually legitimately don't have a choice but to try to kill the Phantasm, because if I current the guild mage, they're still going to make the Phantasm a 5/5, even if it's all lands in their hand. Yeah. Alright, magical Christmas land from our opponent, and this game is unwinnable. Again, if I direct current the guild mage, they have the 2 mana up to make Lazav a copy of it, and then just still surveil right now and have the 5/5 Phantasm we can't interact with. We're on a 4-turn clock. We can work our way towards a beacon bolt, I guess. That's something. Can hypothesize and hold up. A disdainful stroke, discarding another instant sorcery, trying to get beacon bolt up to the 5 needed. But I need to kill guild mage anyway, so I might as well direct current over hypothesis, right? No, because drawing the cards is pretty valuable. Okay. Fortunately, I don't really have a good instant or sorcery to discard here because I want to hold up the disdainful stroke. So I guess I'm just discarding a creature. Awkward. Next turn I'll have 6 mana up, which is enough to cast a Muse Drake and direct current in the same turn, so I think I actually get rid of Watcher. But we kill the guild mage, so they can't just buff the Phantasm with guild mage next turn, unless they turn Lazav into it. Oh my god, really? You got Zenith Flare also? You got the Mythic Uncommon alongside all this? Well, guess I can fill that Beacon Bolt up. Goodbye, Disdainful Stroke. If they're just going to keep recasting Disinformation Campaign, that's out of reach of the stroke. They can turn Lazav into a 2/2 at instant speed. I guess that means I should block Lazav, actually, come to think of it, because they're not going to want Lazav to trade off there. Although now I can direct current Lazav. Yep. Direct current Lazav, play a Trumper. Got 6 damage with Beacon Bolt plus Direct Current. So quasi-duplicate the Informant to trigger Disinformation Campaign and Thoughtbound Phantasm. Might as well throw some more rares in there. Might as well, honestly. This is awkward. I want to kill the Thoughtbound Phantasm immediately here. Oh no, I don't have the mana to cast Muse Drake and hold up Cover Up. I only have 2 blue sources still. 6 red sources, but only 2 blue. Dang it. If I could, I think I have to cast Muse Drake here and just hold up Cover Up to stop Disinformation Campaign nonsense from going on. But I can't afford to do that, which means I have to just do the Beacon Bolt Direct Current at the Phantasm. 6. Gonna be 4. Yeah, and because the Beacon Bolt costs a blue, I can't hold up Cover Up doing that either. Okay, yeah. I just have to kill Phantasm. And they make me discard Muse Drake? They find the deadweight. I guess this is the world we live in. We just double beacon bolt. Give up on covering up the disinformation campaign. Because if they top deck a land, they just quasi-duplicate this, pick up disinformation campaign, cast it, make me discard cover up. And I can't not kill something here. I go to 1 life if I just pass the turn. So, alright, you could just have a disinformation campaign forever. And our odds of victory go from 0 to negative 100. This is egregious. Never let Dimir be this open in your draft pod, please. And thank you, everyone. They just passed the turn. They might have a counterspell here. But I guess they don't want to quasi-duplicate a 1/1, so this could mean a lot of things. Rather try to cast this than Beacon Bolt here. Oh, it's not even that good, but 3 life, can I really complain about a way to deal with a small creature? I don't think I can. Nope. Nope. No thanks. Alright, here we are for game number 2. Solid opening hand. We are on the draw. And they start with a Healer's Hawk, so they are a white-based aggro deck. They can be Selesnya or Boros. Boros is the terrifying one, Boros and Dimir being the S-tier archetypes in the formats. Selesnya being okay, because the green decks are the F-tier archetypes. Not quite F-tier, but definitely nowhere near as good as Dimir and Boros. Izzet's a nice in-between. Izzet is solid enough. They are Selesnya so far, it looks like. So, I'm doing fine. This is a little awkward, because I really want to play Crackling Drake, or at least have double blue up as quickly as possible. So I'm going to get this Guild Gate out of the way, which means not direct currenting the Healer's Hawk here. But that's fine. I don't think the lifelink matters too much. What's most relevant is how much damage they're dealing to us. So if nothing else, this lets us keep direct current to clear out a bigger thing later, such as a Conclave Guild Mage. I can play a Crackling Drake, hope they have no removal, and then I block 1 thing and take 4, or I can just shoot 1 thing and take 4 here. Honestly, the biggest argument for dropping Crackling Drake right now is that next turn I can then play Direct Current and still hold up Disdainful Stroke, which is pretty mana efficient. Sure. The Guild Mage isn't actually doing anything next turn. It's just a 2/2. Trample is irrelevant against a single 0/4 or against 0 creatures, which are the 2 ways this could go here. Alright, there's a lot of +2/+2 combat tricks. There's only 1 +3/+3. So I'm going to block one of the 1 power creatures and hope that their combat trick, if they have one, is just a +2/+2 one. I think it's worth taking 1 extra point of damage to keep the Crackling Drake guaranteed. Sadly, they drop the 4-drop that turn. We might lose for being on the draw on this one, folks. We were on the play, the Drake would be out, and then we'd have this mana up on the turn where they go for the Rosemane Centaur, and we could Disdainful Stroke it. This might be a brutal play-draw differential game. It's kind of looking that way, because I do not see a reasonable way to try to survive right now against the Centaur. I can Sonic Assault it and not permanently deal with anything that's on the board. I think I have to just kill this Guild Mage. Please be expensive. No shot. 2 mana. So I cannot Disdainful Stroke. It's one of the most efficient removal spells in the whole format. At least I get to Sonic Assault, I guess, because the land comes into play untapped. But that's brutal. Like, Luminous Bonds would have been really bad for me, because it would have been 3 mana, it would have barely dodged, but it's 2 mana? Gotta put the salt in the wound on that one. Alright, well, I don't think this is winnable from here, but I think it would have been winnable on the play. And that's magic, baby. Lava Coil, one of the few draws that maybe slightly keeps us in the game here. We take 4, go to 3. Stop. Stop drawing creatures! Hit a land clump, please, I'm begging you. That's definitely not a land clump, that's another creature. Double creatured us again this late. Oh. Triple creature us this turn, come on. Alright, I can deal with 2 of these creatures. Block 1 and take 3. So I'm literally dead. I take Exact no matter what I do. 8 mana. I can have 2 mana up, which isn't enough to deal with anything else. No, we just take Exact. Man. This sucks. I think this deck is so much better than it's doing right now, but we have just hit 2 brutal matchups in a row. We hit like just an unbeatable Dimir deck for game 1, and now just Selesnya with a really aggressive curve on the play. Again, Selesnya, definitely not like the scariest archetype, and this is not the scariest deck ever. It's just them being on the play with just 5,000 creatures on the draw here. Just slightly too fast, where I think we would actually have a reasonable chance of stabilizing if we were on the play instead of on the draw. Because again, we would have had the counterspell for the Centaur, which would have meant significantly less damage. And then at this point, we'd be at like 8 or something instead of 3, probably. At least 7 instead of 3. But now we just take Exact Lethal. Alright, GG. 0-2 to start it off. Alright, here we are for game number 3. We are currently 0-2. We're going to try as hard as possible to rally, because I think this deck is much better than an 0-3 or even a 3-3 deck on average. So I would like to get a solid win streak here, because I think this deck is very solid, but hey, that's Magic, baby. You can't always get there. Sometimes you do get some rough matchups. But let's see. Looks like a red deck from our opponent. Either Boros or Izzet are the most likely. Mono red for now. Alright, Izzet's Mirror Match. They start with Goblin Electromancer, and that gives me a very solid direct current target, so I'm just going to do that. Sonic Assault is just going to be discard fodder for the Hypothesizal. I think this is probably our worst main deck card for our deck. Ooh! Crackling Drake is an incredible card. So we are really hoping they tap out of any potential counterspells so we can Hypothesizzle that next turn. So Hypothesizzle, discard Sonic Assault is our play next turn. Smelt Ward Minotaur, so they can cast an instant or sorcery and shut off our blocker, deal 1 if they want. But they are not going to do that. They're going to hold up 1 and a blue for Disdainful Stroke. So because Hypothesis is an instant, we just pass against that 2 open mana. Okay, now they're tapped out of any counter spell, so we can Hypothesis in response to the Insights. Discard the Sonic Assault. Kill the Crackling Drake. Beautiful. Beam Splitter Mage, so some aggro Izzet stuff here where any combat trick they play is going to get doubled up. That is very threatening, so we are going to direct current that. I think I'm going to play one from my hand rather than one from my grave here. $18 life, I think we poke for one. If they cast just 2 instants or sorceries next turn, it's not going to matter if I hold up Muse Drake, and Izzet is pretty decent at casting multiple instants and sorceries in one turn. There's Hypothesis to kill the Cyclops, I guess? Maybe the Drake, just because it's flying. Especially if they choose to shut off the Cyclops' ability to block here. That could also mean they just don't kill anything. But they are going to kill the Cyclops, fair enough. There's a Goblin Electromancer. Well, there's another direct current target. Let's go. Direct current just being awesome in this matchup. There's Beacon Bolt for the Smelt Ward thing. So current the Electromancer, discarding a land. Beacon Bolt, the Smelt Ward Minotaur. And I think hold on to this land with 2 really good jumpstart cards in grave. 1 is not very relevant, but 2 are really good. There's Hypothesis to kill the Muse Drake. Man, Niv Mizzet would be an absolute mirror breaker. Niv Mizzet would be absurd in this matchup. So we know what we want to draw. I top deck another land, then I can direct current and use Drake in the same turn. I don't think it's worth blowing a Lava Coil on this Guild Mage when I have direct current. So I'm going to save Lava Coil, save the bigger removal for something else. And I guess we're just casting Goblin Crater Maker this turn then. There's nothing we can target with that anyway. I feel like most mirror matches are actually pretty funny in this format and kind of fun. Like Dimir mirror matches and Izzet mirror matches and stuff. I mean, I guess Dimir mirror matches can be kind of grindy and annoying, but there's something fun in the way that it like really changes how all these cards function. Where it's like, this does not feel like a normal game of Magic. The way things are going here back and forth. And neither do Dimir mirror matches. I guess Boros mirror matches are pretty standard. You're just both trying to rip each other apart. Alright, they're just going to go for big Piston Fist Cyclops damage while they still can, because they know we can just Beacon Bolt it next turn anyway. I kind of want a Lava Coil over Beacon Bolt, because our Beacon Bolt's going to be like 5 or more damage, just in case they have their own Niv Mizzet. Because Niv Mizzet can be like 5 toughness, I think, which would be out of reach of the Lava Coil. I guess Ornery Goblin just gives them a direct current target, but that's fine. We get rid of the direct current before we draw any better 2 toughness cards, which I don't think we really have. Well, we probably have something better than a 2-1. Yeah, like Goblin Electromancer, I guess, is slightly better than Ornery Goblin. So if we draw Goblin Electromancer, they can't kill that with this direct current anymore. Fine. Radical Idea, that is a good draw. It's a radically good draw. Hey, Electromancer. If they don't kill Electromancer, then I could recast Radical Idea and still have a Sonic Assault up at instant speed. Sure. If they kill the Electromancer, though, then I don't have Sonic Assault up anymore. No, it's their own Sonic Assault. That's actually really scary here. 4 damage to me. It's kind of a big deal. I'm down to 9 now, so that's going to put me down to 7 on the recast. Oh boy. Hit the Electromancer, because that's slightly more damage to them than the Muse Drake. Last turn. Do I just draw 2? Kind of feel like I draw 2, because I've got a Beacon Bolt for whatever creature they play still. Ooh, hello there. No, I would not like to discard Niv-Mizzet to shoot one of my own creatures for 4. That doesn't seem great. Now I have Disdainful Stroke up. If they have Devious Cover up, I can counter that and still resolve Niv-Mizzet. Oh yeah, Niv-Mizzet can't be countered. What am I talking about? Alright, there's the concession. They see the Niv-Mizzet and they're like, well, that card's broken in the mirror match. This game's over. And they scoop them up, which is fair enough. Again, this thing is completely busted in the mirror match because both of our decks are loaded with instants and sorceries. There's just no shot they're breaking through this unless they have an immediate, like, Beacon Bolt to kill it immediately. But I'm guessing that's not the case by that concession. And we have gotten at least 1 win off of this sweet Izzet deck. Again, really, really hoping we can get a few more in a row. Give this deck at least like a positive record. Be pretty sad if we get kicked out quickly here. All right, game number 4 now. Second game on our 0-2 into 7-2 comeback. Playing against the white deck. Actually play the aggressive here, weirdly, since we're on the play with Goblin into Cyclops. Bounty Agent, well, that can kill a Niv-Mizzet. That's really rude. We are playing against Selesnya. Alright, looks like it's just gonna kill an Ornery Goblin, which is fine. Goodbye, my Goblin friend. District Guide, great value play. Not like the Walmart kind of great value, but actually great value. Cover Up is tempting to just hold up, and I think I'm gonna do that, which is kind of weird with Cyclops on the board. Cyclops would make us want to, like, Radical Idea, send in, like, Crater Maker, but I actually have a Sixth Sense, and I knew they were gonna play, like, the best Selesnya uncommon. And that's why I did that. I actually can just see the future. And I knew they were going to cast, like, probably one of the best cards in their whole deck on that next turn. Okay, we need this land towards Watcher in the Mist, so we drop it down. Conclave Cavalier, super nasty. 4/4 Vigilance, and it dies and splits into 2/2/2s with Vigilance. Just really good value. Speaking of really good value, District Guide number 2. Walmart name brand back at it again. Could double block this Piston Fist, which is Not really bad for me. Could even Crater Maker if I wanted to. I feel like I'm just casting a flyer though. Let's just cast the Watching the Mist. Especially against a 1-mana instant. They probably have the +2/+2. Ooh. My crackling friend. Hello there. I'm actually going to play this Guild Gates that I have 6 mana, 4 for Drake, 2 for Radical Idea. Flashback. So that if like the Crake, I guess, Crackling Drake, the Crake, if it top decks a land, then play Drake, recast Idea, use all the mana. Uh-oh, we need to kill that. Luckily, we have 1,000,000 copies of Direct Current. They would all be great ways to deal with that. Oh, actually, I could just kill it with Crater Maker. I'm a doofus. I guess we're confident they have the +2/+2 combat trick, so Crater Maker just trades into that. We know they have a 1 white mana instant, or they're playing in full control mode. Feel like they probably have the 1 white mana +2/+2. That's the only 1 white mana instant I can think of. There is Righteous Blow, but that wouldn't be holding. But they did hold on an earlier turn with only 1 white mana up. Righteous Blow only holds during combat. No! I'm actually pretty sad we didn't manage to find like a single unexplained disappearance in our draft pod. That would have been really good. Super good against Luminous Bonds, obviously. Pick up our Crackling Drake and recast it. So again, our current position looks a little precarious, but our deck has a lot of good ways to deal with these kind of cards. Opponent is just not even trying to hide it here with that play. They're like, yeah, our opponent's going to know we have the +2/+2 trick, but not going to let them play around it. Fair enough, opponent. I know you have the +2/+2 trick. You know you have the +2/+2 trick. That doesn't really help me kill your Ladev champion, even if I know you have the trick. Hey, Hypothesis, well that can kill the Ladev champion through the +2/+2. Sure. I guess I could actually, if I really want to, have Hypothesis trade into the +2/+2 and then still Crater Maker the champion by Hypothesising the Colossus. But I think I just block the Colossus and then I can block Colossus plus shoot for 2 after the +2/+2 trick. Okay, I guess I have to discard a Muse Drake. Boop. Try to save that with +2/+2. That's what I thought. Boop. Just winning in the sky. I am at 20 life, so maybe it was actually reasonable to send in the Piston Fist Cyclops. Then they block, use the trick, I trade these two into Colossus. I guess it's kind of the same thing as blocking, except this way they don't have more open mana to be able to try to like double combat trick. Probably would have been worth it. I think I should have sent. Okay, that stops my Watcher in the Mist. I can do 6 damage with Hypothesis plus Crater Maker, which isn't enough to kill this Flight of Equinaughts. Because it's going to have 7 toughness with the +2/+2. So do I just start playing Muse Drakes and trying to draw into other stuff? I guess. I could still Hypothesis to draw 2. And we can like discard a card to make them combat trick the Colossus up, but look for draws here. Direct Current's a good one. Direct Current's a real good one. Is that worth cashing in right now? Just cash it in on a District Guide, make them spend the trick or lose a 2/2. I mean, District Guide doesn't really matter that much. It's probably not worth cashing in, actually. we just save it to add to the amount of damage we can do to Flight of Equinaughts next turn. Means we Radical Idea discarding an island this turn. No, I need a lot of mana. I'm actually just going to play this land out. So we're trying to stack up a 5 mana, 3 mana, and 1 mana burn spell. That's 9 mana total to do all the damage we want to do. We're just hanging out for now. We actually have enough card draw. I don't need to be aggressive here. We can just sit here and make sure they can't get on the aggressive and we'll be fine. So just rethink how this game is going. I know they're at 10, but we could just hold off on the attacks for a bit here and get far ahead in card advantage and win the long game as you do and grind your more controlling decks. Okay, that was an incredible turn for them. Woodshaper draws into the Conclave Tribunal to exile the Watcher in the Mist. Just really, really good. Now they get to start hitting us for 4 a turn instead. The other way around. So that makes us really rethink the way the game's going now, because now we're definitely actually on the defensive, I think. Well, maybe not. They're at 10 and we have a 4-power attacker. Can actually figure out the 2/1 blockers, so they only have a 4/4 on blocks here that I can send Cyclops into. Or they have to spend their combat trick here, which means they don't have it to protect their other cards. So they're going to keep the trick. I can Hypothesis and Direct Current to kill the World Soul Colossus, even if they combat trick it up. They crack back for 8, we're at 16, but we could hit them for 5, which halves their life total. Oh, those are not good draws. Because now I have to jumpstart the Direct Current to kill the Colossus here. Yeah, that's not ideal. Really wanted to hit a spell. Alright, there it is. Who would have known? Okay, let's have each other's life totals. 5 life to 8 life. Next turn I have Muse Drake plus Radical Idea for a draw 2. That takes 6 of my 8 mana. I'll still have some mana to cast whatever I draw into. We can hit a Beacon Bolt for this Flight of Equinaughts, we'll be fine. Oh no, they had double creature there. Disdainful Stroke fashionably late. We gotta be on full-on blocks now for sure. Especially just flooding. And flooding more. Rough. They are dead to Direct Current if I attack with Piston Fist Cyclops. And Piston Fist Cyclops doesn't even really block anyway because the Rock Charger gives flying. Trump, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. This stops more damage than if we tried to block with the Cyclops. This is actually just the better defensive play, too. Unfortunately, like at this point, we're just chumping Flight of Equinaughts every turn, which is not like a winnable position. If I don't trump it, they attack with everybody next turn. I chump there, block there, take 3, go to 1. If I do chump it, I'm at 8. Next turn, I block one of these, take 3, go to 5. Technically live slightly longer if I chump it, but my board's much worse. If I don't chump it, I'm threatening like double blocks on 2/2s and 1/3s. Well, 1/3s I don't, but I'm threatening double blocks on 2/2s. But I'm at a low enough life total, I won't be able to do that anyway. I have to chump. Hello. We were bound to hit our sweet stuff eventually. We drew 0 of our 2 beacon bolts so far, and we're in the bottom 13 of our decks. There's 2 beacon bolts and a Niv Mizzet in the bottom 13, so our best cards are all tucked away here in the bottom, like, quarter of the deck. But here we go. Boom. Boom. And we're chilling. They could attack with both the 2/2s and hit us for 2 a turn, which is a clock. Yeah, it's kind of rough. Actually, probably should have killed the 2/2 instead of the Rock Charger here. Kind of have to counter that. That's big enough to kill the Muse Drake on attacks. No! I know there's another Beacon Bolt and a Niv Mizzet in here. Find another Watcher in the Mist still. Another Direct Current would be insane. Lava Coil's still in there? It's just like all the gassiest gas. Disdainful Stroke, ain't it, Chief? Oh my god. What a disappointing ending. Just flat out in the top deck war. With a second Beacon Bolt, a Direct Current, a Niv Mizzet, a Watcher in the Mist. Just tons of like insta-win cards still in the deck. Brutal. That's Magic, baby. 1 and 3 it is for this deck. That is really, really disappointing. I think this is actually the best deck we've drafted so far. I think this is stronger than our Dimir control build was. This is stronger than our Selesnya deck was. But it gets the worst result by far just due to some variance. We played against the most busted, most ridiculous deck we've seen in this entire return trip. In round 1 against that Dimir deck with multiple mythics and multiple rares and Disinformation Campaign, the mythic uncommon. That was just stupid. That deck seemed completely unwinnable for anything. And then our second loss, we just got tempoed out on the draw. Was a winnable game on the play, but we were unfortunately on the draw. And our third loss, just flooded out in the top deck war. Just not really preventable things here, sadly. Again, I think this deck was really, really solid. It just didn't play out that way for us for a multitude of various disappointing reasons. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in a recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.